Yes, the Sambisa issue, I think we failed to seize the moment when it mattered most. We made inroads to Sambisa, and I recall seeing Neota Egbe in Sambisa.
Yeah, he was there.
Yes, he was in Sambisa where he was able to actually do a brief on air. I watched it, and I recalled one of my colleagues actually led the onslaught that took Sambisa. Yes, Lieutenant Colonel D.R. Hassan did that job, closed that business successfully. Then somehow we let it fall back into the hands of these insurgents again. And that it wasn't only with Sambisa, it was with other towns. There was this merry-go-round approach. You take it one day, you lose it one day, you take it again. And at the point I said the soldiers were becoming docile, probably because they were not backed with the political will to take decisively a decision on those areas and hold them. That has come and passed at a cost, very costly indeed. And today we've been able to take those areas, save Sambisa. Sambisa itself need be taken. It's quite a big expanse of land. It's quite large. In fact, it overlaps into the contiguous states there. But it will remain key because Sambisa affords the kind of operations the insurgents want to do, cover, both aerial cover and land cover. It also affords them the base they require. So it's not a place we should leave at all. It's somewhere that has to be taken at all cost.
Now, after the success recorded in Goza, what next? Bring back the girls?
Of course, we are waiting to exhale on that. We're waiting to exhale on that. I'm particularly very interested on the flight of those girls ever since they were taken. And that will be the icing on the cake. That will be the crown on the whole thing. If those girls can actually be gotten back home between now and 12 midnight, I tell you, there's something they call...
That'll be a miracle.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's going to be wonderful, wonderful. Very wonderful indeed.
You know, women have been canvassing. There's no way we wouldn't be talking about that. Now we're looking at the successes of the Nigerian military, the troop, as well as the police, everyone and the people. This is great news for the country. But being a mother and a rights activist, what will that mean to you, going by what Captain Aliyu has said, that is just the icing on the cake we're waiting to taste?
Well, we were very anxious, particularly about the girls. We want them back, and we want them back now. We want them back alive, and to bring back our girls, we have been canvassing for that, and that's why people are sitting out in front of the Unity Fountain in Marina and other places to ensure that we keep talking about this story. We keep asking that the girls be brought back now and alive. Of course, the issue of the girls have a lot of implications for the Northeast. If you look at the data that we have in Nigeria, Nigeria seems to be producing the highest number of out-of-school children in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. And when we talk about this, the young girls, the girls constitute the highest number of the out-of-school children. And with what has happened in the northeastern part of Nigeria, that's a lot of impact. There is socio-economic effect of it. There's also the effect of people not wanting to take their children back to school. So I think it's something that we need to put on the agenda, beyond bringing back the girls, to begin to think about the security of school children in Nigeria. I think it's something that it's very important for us to address.
Also, we saw the government, the Nigerian government, making efforts to try to bring back some level of confidence, rather, to the Chibok community, establishing a school for the girls there. What are your thoughts along this line? Is this what is needed in a place like that now?
Well, I don't think so. Yes, we need schools. Yes, we need, but I think they need to build that confidence. I think they need to build that trust with the people. I think the people, they have been traumatized. And they can also, because of what happened, they can't trust the military, they can't trust the government, they can't trust, because for so long this has been happening, and they can't really see any positive step in actual fact. It took the president, for example, months, to even be able to visit Borno State.
Let me quickly comment there. Sorry to cut you there. I just want to redirect our focus, which has to do with logistics and distribution of these materials. We've spoken with Chimeze, we've spoken with Dobra Woods, as well as Lucky. We've spoken to earlier on in the morning with our man in Jos, Yemiko Soko, and almost everyone has been speaking on the movement of these sensitive materials. And we also spoke with IGP Sulaiman Abbas, saying that look, they are on top of the game. So far, it's been fantastic news concerning the movement of these materials. How can we sustain it, knowing full well that these materials will definitely be conveyed from now till about the early hours of tomorrow? How can we sustain this kind of security we've been giving to these materials and persons? Captain Aliyu.
I think I must commend Professor Jega on this logistic issue. The reason being, in 2011, I remember seeing Ken Nnamani. Was he the Senate?
Former Senate President.
Yeah, Senate President. He went to his own native or his own local polling booth, and he was there with the press when he was interviewed, and he said he'd been there. It was quite past midday, and not one official was there. And there were complaints like that in other places. So I'm really very encouraged when I'm hearing, even before the H hour, before the takeoff hour, the logistic aspect of the elections is like 85% already implemented. We are seeing materials already as close to their final destinations as possible. And for us to be able to maintain this particular momentum, I think I suspect, I stand to be corrected, that the entire logistics has been faced. There are kind of deadlines and or timelines before which XYZ must be done. Because if you look at it, it's concurrent. All over we are beginning to hear that logistics or election materials are already at a particular point. So I think there must have been some timeline or deadline specifications which INEX must be working with. And if they sustain it, I think everything will actually be able to give us some very pronounced, improvement compared to what we saw in 2011. Even where there are challenges, those challenges will not be as glaring or as offsetting.
I think Dr. wants to
comment. Since I've been doing observation for quite some time, since 1999, I think that's always like a major problem with INEC. We get to air, we get to air a day before, everything is okay, then you get to the election day.
Exactly.
There will be lateness of material. At times it's also due to transportation because we don't have good transport system. They also don't have trust for, it's not as if we have an organized transport system that will transport the material locally, within the state. So we don't get there. Also, you can find the security operatives that you expect around the polling station. Then you have to wait to ensure that they get there before. So, and when you have all this, oftentimes this speak to the issue of credibility of the election. Because if you are not starting the election on time when they are supposed to start, if you don't have the security officials standing in to ensure that there's safety of the people, if you don't have the vehicles to transport the materials. I remember in 2011, we had to go to the INEC office to find out what the problem was in one of the states in Nigeria. And we also saw that played out in Ekiti, also in a short state in a manner. So looking at tomorrow's election, I'm really praying and hoping that we won't be faced with that kind of problem, because that would to a large extent affect the expectation from all what we've been hearing from Kaduna to Bayelsa. People are ready, people are anxious, though they are stocking food, and that's the thing about the worry about the morning after the election.
Now, have you been able to go to the markets to stock food as well? Did you do the same? Well, not to worry, that's a kick to that. But on a more serious note, do you think that the elections might draw into the wee hours?
Well, if it's properly managed, it also depends. From observation, what we have seen, you get to some polling units, you get over 500 people. which is often which is not what it's supposed to be. But we saw that happen in Ekiti and in Osun State. So where you have that large number of people, there's a possibility that it will go to
even with the card readers. Even with the new technology that's being employed.
Well, I think the card readers is probably going to also make it longer than just keying up, showing your card. So you have to first address that card reader process first before you then go and do the other processes.
Well, anyway, I think, we have to remind our viewers still watching us, it's almost 12 hours, 10 minutes to the big moment. It starts from 8 o'clock. So 12 hours, 10 minutes, we'll be having elections here in Nigeria, and you too can be part of it. It's been fantastic all the way, talking with our correspondents from across the country, all geopolitical zones, and they say INEC in those areas that we have spoken to, well, on top of their game. And for Dr. Akiode, she says it has always been the story, but when the big moment comes, INEC sometimes, falters, and she's hoping that this can't be the case in this particular one. And of course, for Captain Umar Aliyu, it's a fantastic news we're getting, talking about Goza, and so much that we have been able to gather from all across the country, security-wise, specifically in Nigeria's northeast. Don't forget, we also spoke with the Commissioner of Police in Ondo State, and he did say he'll be addressing the press in concerning that very unfortunate, sad incident in Owo, which he said some of those who carried out that dastardly act have been killed, with one arrested, and of course the investigations are still on. And the big man himself, big boss man, Police Chief Abba Sulaiman, we spoke with him. He said, well, everything is under control. Well, we like to again thank him for taking time out of his busy schedule to speak with us, and we do hope that we'll get to speak with him in the course of the program Nigeria 2015. President Kufuor, who is leading the African mission to the country, observing ECOWAS observer mission, we also spoke with him, and he said this is about Nigeria and the continent, talking about the strategic nature of this particular election for us as a people and for the continent. For him, it's a good move that we even thought about this postponement in the first place, because we've been able to garner some form of success. But he did say that will not make any of us men and women go into Nigeria's northeast observing that particular election. And of course, our correspondents are still very much on the field, bringing us up to speed on what exactly is happening.